for Education 2030. Before I begin, I would just like to make some quick announcements as we have for the room. You know, we have interpretation in the devices that you have in front of you into different languages, English, Spanish, French, and Arabic, so that you can choose your hearing of language of preference. For the people joining online, the same can be said. Please, if you can select on the globe button what is your language of preference, please go ahead. And also to share comments on any of the presentations, you can use the chat section. And you can leave your questions also to the panelists in the question and answer button of the connection. And then for the speakers and panelists, please remember to speak slowly and clearly so that we can be followed by our dear interpreters who are here with us today. Dear Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honor and absolute pleasure to start this panel today, in which we will be speaking about innovation and the actual role of teacher innovation in transforming education. The theme for this year's World Teachers Day, as you probably saw this morning, if you were with us, is Transforming Education Begins with Teachers. There was a lot of conversation this morning around the role that teachers can play in changing education. We referred to the role that they played during the COVID-19 pandemic, in which they were able to improvise after education provision and learning was disrupted. They were able to innovate, they were able to change formats, they were able to prioritize content. And this is some of the stories that we will be hearing today from the laureates of the UNESCO-Hamdan Prize for Teacher Development. So on behalf of UNESCO, the Assistant Director General for Education, I am very happy to introduce to you the agenda that we have in front of us today, and also the objectives of this panel. We would like, through our conversation today, to learn more about the importance of teaching innovations. We would like to understand, and I think the laureates will probably guide us in that respect, the enablers, the barriers there are to changes in the classroom, to innovations, what kind of policy levers are needed to innovate. And very importantly, we're going to find out how the laureate projects that we have today overcame some of the obstacles that every teacher faces, that every teacher development program does, and achieve positive results, and the lessons that we can learn from them for the improvement and the transformation of education. So we will have first a keynote that will be delivered by Dr. Linda Darling Hammond. She is the President and CEO of the Learning Policy Institute and the Charles E. Ducommun Professor of Education Emeritus at Stanford University. We'll give you the floor in just 1 minute, Linda. Thank you very much. And then we're going to have a panel discussion, which will be chaired by Madame Liz Lange, that you probably met this morning, who is the president of the jury of the UNESCO-Hamdan Prize for Teacher Development, representing the jury, whom we're very pleased to see as well here in the front row. And Liz will actually guide us through a conversation with the 3 laureates of the UNESCO-Hamdan Prize for Teacher Development. As you know, we have Dr. Bertrude Albert of P4H Global, representing the Training Teachers to Transform Haiti, also referred to as P4H Haiti. We have Madame Delia Mamon of Grain de Paix Foundation, representing the laureate project Apprendre en Paix, Éduquer sans Violence, most commonly referred to as APIV, Benin Innovation in Benin. We also have Dr. Rima Karami Akari of the American University of Beirut, representing the laureate program of Tamam Project for a School-Based Educational Reform, which is based in Lebanon and implemented across several Arab countries. So this is the panel that we have lined up today, for whom I would like you to join your hands with me to welcome. And without any further ado, I would like to pass the floor to Professor Linda Darling Hammond. Can you hear us, Linda?
Yes, I can. It's nice to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed for joining us today to share a couple of words of wisdom, as I know you will, on the issue of teaching innovation. What are some of the obstacles? What are some of the enablers to actually have teachers at the center of transformation? So Linda, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. First of all, I want to say how delighted I am to be with you here on World Teacher Day at this critical time in our history. Teaching is indeed the profession on which all other professions depend. And without an adequate supply of well-prepared and well-supported teachers, nothing else in education can work.
Let me interrupt you for just 1 second. I think we need a louder speakers.
All right, is that better?
No, it's the sound comes in. I'm looking
Try
at my
this.
colleagues
How is
from
that?
the technical side.
How's that?
It is still not very loud.
Okay.
I'm afraid.
Do you want me to get I can try getting an earphone.
If you have a headset, Linda, that will probably help.
Okay, and let me try this also. How is that?
If I may, the sound in the is really great. It might be a problem with the room.
So the problem is in the room. So maybe if we can have some colleagues to look at the sound, or alternatively, if you, for the audience, we can wear actually the headsets in the preferred language that you want, and you'll be able to hear much better. Let's make another, if you can put on your headset, and we can try again, Linda.
All right, how does that sound? Is that better?
That sounds much better. Yeah, just for the audience to know, we have a volume button and a language button, so everybody.
And
I hope the interpreters can also use the headset. We can hear perfectly with this.
They do. Thank you, Valerie.
I'm sorry, were you asking me to also use the headset? I'm getting an echo.
Yes.
I wonder if
I'm
there's a
going
way
to
to
turn off
correct.
my microphone, Linda, and then you can come in, please.
Okay, great. This is what teachers do. We solve tech problems every day. But I'm still getting an echo, so I'm going to turn off my sound and see how that is. Does the sound good for you? Yes? Okay, great. So I'm thrilled to be here on World Teacher Day. At this critical time in our history, teaching is indeed the profession on which all other professions depend. And every country needs a supply of well-prepared and well-supported teachers, without which nothing else in education can work. And yet, at this moment, in many countries of the world, we do have some of the deepest shortages of teachers we've had for generations. The stresses of the pandemic have been one reason for this. Teachers have gone above and beyond their normal roles, moving in and out of distance learning, as you said, dealing with the many needs and traumas of children and families, dealing with challenges within their own families. And all of this has been happening at a time when we've been experiencing a public health crisis, a recurring economic crisis, a growing set of natural disasters that are part of a climate crisis, and in many countries, a civil rights crisis, born of the many ways in which these forces have surfaced various inequalities in the school systems and societies. And these multiple crises have created great disruption. And yet in the history of the world, it is at moments like these that transformation is possible. And we have seen that as teachers have initiated so many innovations in response to these conditions, when it becomes clear that the way we have done things in the past is not the way we can continue to do them, that's when change occurs. And we've seen this all around the world. The factory model school, designed a century ago in the United States for standardized instruction, moving students along a conveyor belt to receive assembly line instruction, in which the teacher stamps the class with a lesson before they go on to the next one, clearly needs to change. It was not designed for what we now know about learning, the importance of strong relationships, personalization, deeper learning that allows learners to use what they know and continue to learn on their own, and for equity. We're at a moment, of course, where knowledge is expanding rapidly. There was more new knowledge created in the world between 1999 and 2003 than in the entire history of the world preceding. And technology knowledge is now doubling every 11 months. So our children will need to work with knowledge that hasn't been discovered yet, using technologies that haven't been invented yet, solving major problems that we have not been able to solve. I'm going to give you just two examples of innovations that I have seen teachers taking up and moving forward in this time and in the few years preceding the pandemic, that are great illustrations of what is possible and how it can scale, how it can spread. One of these in New York City is a set of schools that engage in deeper learning that were designed by teachers in response to an opportunity that the school district made available. And many of the big factory model high schools that had high failure rates, where students would cycle from teacher to teacher, they were not well known by any teacher, were redesigned. Teachers redesigned them as smaller schools, multiple schools in a single building. If you want to see a great example, go to Julia Richmond High School in New York City. Inside each of these schools, teachers redesigned the schedule so that they would have time to collaborate with each other. They created teaching teams that work with a shared group of students so that they could integrate the content across their different disciplines in ways that connected what's going on in history and science and English language arts and mathematics. They, in addition, attached a counselor to each of these teaching teams that worked with students. Some of this goes on at a set of schools called the Internationals, a network of schools that serve only new immigrants to the country. So students come in speaking many, many different languages. 30 languages in a school is not unusual. The pedagogy is designed so that they're maintaining their own language while acquiring English and engaging in project-based learning. Students take up a set of projects in the content areas that are on the curriculum that will lead them to college with the support of the teaching team and each other, because they've designed it so that peers are part of the teaching and learning process. Many of these young people come to the school without parents accompanying them. There are about a third of the young people in some of the schools are unaccompanied minors. That means that they are living with relatives or in shelters sometimes and in a variety of settings. So they've also wrapped around the school a set of supports for the legal needs that immigrants have to become naturalized and to be able to stay in the country, for the nutrition and housing needs that these young people have. They have organized this in a way that allows teachers to know their students well, because each of the teachers has a group of students, about 15 or 20, in what they call an advisory system, where they see the students each day to find out what they need to engage in social and emotional learning and supports, as well as academic supports and contacts with the parents. In the schools that have been redesigned in these ways, young people who used to drop out at very high rates are now graduating at rates of 90% or above, with a large number of them, indeed, again, another 90% or more going on to college, because teachers have redesigned the schools in ways that make them humane, personalized. The students also are engaged in work that is part of deeper learning. They complete projects and performance assessments and a portfolio of these across subject areas, and present their work, which is inquiry work, before panels like dissertation defense panels as part of graduation, which means they're learning about things deeply. They're developing the inquiry skills, the deeper knowledge skills that are needed. That's just one type of innovation that teachers design that's now being spread across the country in ways that bring a network of supports to other cities and teachers in other schools to create similar designs. Another innovation that we see not only in the United States, but around the world is the community school. A school environment that is designed to be sure that all of the wraparound supports that students need are available to them, that the community is connected to the school through a variety of community-based organizations, as well as students doing projects and activities in the community, connecting to the needs of the community as they engage in study that becomes more meaningful because it is connected to what the community conditions are and what the community needs are. And we're seeing these models go across the school, designed by teachers and continually made more and more effective by a continuous improvement process. As we heard at the International Summit on the Teaching Profession, there is a growing consensus across the world about what we need. We need a change that attends to the whole child, to the well-being of the whole child, physical, mental, social, and emotional, because we know that learning is social, emotional, and academic, that they are tied together, and that social and emotional supports are not a distraction from learning, they are the pathway to greater learning. We need teacher supports, well-being supports as well in settings that really are aimed at enthusiastic, optimistic learners, inspired and motivated learners, learners who have faith in themselves and in whom we have faith, resilient learners with the same goals for teachers and school staff, so that their learning opportunities and their support opportunities are also front and center. We need to shift from a compliance mindset to an engagement mindset, from top-down management to collaborative management, from high-stakes testing for purposes of selecting and sorting and ranking people against each other on a single monolithic curve, to the development of talent, each person's talent, each student's individual potential, from a standardized approach to a personalized approach. And it's going to take the innovations that teachers develop, because they are most in tune with what students need and how they learn, for us to get to that kind of new reality. We need to build on the innovations teachers have wrought, not only with respect to technology, but with respect to the deeper learning strategies, the whole child education strategies. And we need those same innovations to carry over, as they are beginning to do, into educator preparation, so that we're preparing teachers to educate the whole child, so that we're preparing teachers as collaborators who can engage with one another in this process, not only of teaching, but school redesign. We need to be able to design these schools and prepare leaders and teachers for that shared decision-making, for those community connections, for the opportunities that allow people to be effective in their work. Because the best way to keep teachers in the profession is to give them settings in which they can be efficacious. Teachers are there because they want to succeed with students. when school designs make that difficult, it is much more difficult than to keep a teaching force engaged and active. The schools I described that have been innovating have once had shortages of teachers, and now they have surpluses of teachers, long lines of applicants, of people who want to teach in schools where they are part of the ongoing design, where they are continually solving problems together, where their goal is to enable the success of students, not to just implement a prescribed course of study that often misses the mark with respect to those teachers. We do also have to change the profession itself in many countries. All teachers deserve what only a few now have: a universal high-quality teacher education, completely at government expense, featuring extensive clinical training, at least a year in a partner school attached to the preparation school, with others studying from expert teachers alongside teachers who are learning together to become expert. All teachers deserve mentoring in the beginning years of their practice. All deserve ongoing professional learning embedded in at least 15 or 20 hours a week of planning and collaboration time in their school, for lesson study, for action research, for planning lessons collaboratively. All teachers deserve participation in decision-making about school improvements, leadership opportunities that engage expert teachers in mentoring and coaching and sharing their expertise, and equitable competitive salaries that are comparable to those of other college-educated professionals. And of course, we need teachers to continue leading in this work, for that's how the innovations will spread. As Ashok Pandey noted of teachers in Delhi, India, teacher leadership has been redefined, reflecting a shift from conventional positional roles, coordinators, faculty heads, headmistresses, or vice principals, ascribing power and authority to the holder. Teacher leadership is now determined by the proactive roles that teachers play, the initiatives they undertake, the support they render to leadership students and parents. The pandemic has offered us new avenues, and many teachers have demonstrated that they're resourceful during a crisis, leading content design, facilitating capacity building as peer leaders, mentoring and readily adopting and catalyzing change within the organization. Countries will need to empower teachers to develop and share innovations for the future of education. In the future of education, Yang Zhao makes the case that teaching must become the sum of the entire community of teachers as they take on these roles and share their expertise with each other. We need to get beyond the individualistic conceptions about learning in the classroom for students and teaching in schools among teachers. As Andreas Schleicher noted, the challenge is to build on the expertise of our teachers and school leaders and enlist them in the design of superior policies and practices. This is not accomplished just by letting 1,000 flowers bloom. It requires a carefully crafted enabling environment that can unleash teachers and schools' ingenuity and build capacity for change. This current crisis may offer us the opportunity to break with the past, to rethink schools, reconsider what teaching and leading schools should look like and how it can be supported. Educators are inspired and motivated by the opportunity to succeed with children. Creating the conditions of schooling that support them in this work can simultaneously build our profession. I am excited about the conversation you have amongst you. I know there's so many people in this conference who are doing this work and will now have the opportunity to share those advances with one another. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed, Professor Linda Darling Hammond, for these words. It was a bit early for you in the US, but this morning, the very words that you have echoed today have actually resonated in the room. We've had messages around the role of leadership, around the role that teachers can actually play in the transformation of education if they are provided with some of the things that you have mentioned. the constant mentoring, the coaching, the feedback, and the support that they can have from leaders, from colleagues, from education systems all together. So thank you very much again, Linda, for framing this session so well. And also congratulations for, we know you've received the Hamdan Prize for Educational Research recently. So from one laureate, we will move to another. Thank you very much, Linda.
Thank
And thank you. And we hope you continue with us as we move on. Now, as you know, this panel on innovation is actually part and parcel of the UNESCO-Hamdan Prize for Teacher Development. So this is another initiative that UNESCO and the Hamdan Foundation have put together precisely to incentivize this creativeness, this inventiveness of teachers. So for that, we have with us Dr. Khalifa Al-Sawidi. He is a member of the board of the trustees of the Hamdan bin Rashid Al Maktoum Foundation for Distinguished Academic Performance. And he will give us some opening remarks. So please, Dr. Khalifa.
Thank you, Carlos. I'm going to use my mother tongue language to deliver my speech, so it's time to use your headset. في البداية أود حقيقة أن أشكر.
First and foremost, I would like to thank the interpreters for their excellent work. I've already listened to the different discussions and given in the different languages, and I thank them for their work. The Hamdan Foundation for Educational Excellence began in the United Arab Emirates, and it's 25 years old now. So this year is the 25th anniversary of our foundation. Now, our foundation's objective is to promote innovation and creativity. When we began this initiative in Dubai, we discovered that in education, we could find lots of different types of innovation and creative solutions that were unknown to the public at large. For example, in a school that was known for being very creative, next to another type of school, the other school might completely ignore the creative solutions of the former. So the school or the schools that have received this prize have become like an example to hold up so that we can, let's say, diffuse the creation and innovation to others. Now, in the United Arab Emirates, or from the United Arab Emirates, we have been able to spread these examples to other Gulf states. And then we set up the Hamdan UNESCO Prize. The objective is the same, that is to say, to promote creativity and innovation. Always looking for the creators where they are. And this year, if you allow me, I would like to congratulate and thank all of the prize winners of this edition, and I'm speaking to them right now. Allow me to tell you this little story. In fact, personally, I'm a teacher, and I've always used anecdotes and stories to show what I'm speaking about. Now, one of the Nobel Prize winners of science was asked about the difference that this prize had made on his life. And he said, well, I'm the same researcher as I ever was. However, if today I had to try and convince others through my work, I'll of course tell them that I'm a Nobel Prize winner in science. That's why today I am telling you that the winners of that UNESCO Prize, you have a kind of flag, let's say. You are the standard bearers of excellence, and you can use that and carry it high and proudly and say that we are the winners of the Hamdan UNESCO Prize for Teaching and Innovation. So this is a kind of recognition for you. It's an international recognition. Your excellence and the excellence of your research has been recognized. That's why I congratulate you. And I believe that we have two realities in front of us. First of all, you are responsible for sharing your research with the rest of the world. First of all, in close proximity to where you are in your regions. But I would also like to propose you another platform, the platform that we set up within our own foundation. You can use that platform to share your research so that all of your efforts can bear fruit. There where Carlos and the others are allowing me to say this, I encourage you to go onto that platform, use it to participate and to put your research on there. Secondly, I encourage you to promote the Hamdan UNESCO Prize. Maybe the next prize winner will come from your country again or from your region. So make sure that you can promote this prize in your country, in your region, and here you have the electronic means to do so. Finally, allow me to thank once again our team here at UNESCO. I would like to thank them. I'd like to thank the international jury. They carried out amazing efforts because, of course, this year we received about 75 nominations for the prize, and members of the jury studied all of these nominations. So once again, I thank them for their wonderful work, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Khalifa, for your words and for precisely congratulating again the merits, the conviction, and the vocation that the different programs that we will be addressing today show. So let's move now into that conversation where we will learn more about the laureates themselves, about the organizations, and about the programs. And for that, I'm very happy to give the floor and to introduce to you Dr. Liz Lange. She is an associate professor at the University of Cape Town, but most importantly, she is the chair of the international jury of the UNESCO-Hamdan Prize for Teacher Development. Liz will introduce the panelists and will guide us through the next session. Liz, please.
Thank you, Carlos, and good afternoon, everybody. I just want to clarify that being a chair of a panel simply means that you direct the traffic and that you manage to get consensus amongst very opinionated people. So we are very happy to have you, and I'm very, very happy to have this opportunity to talk to you more in detail. I'm going to introduce the colleagues again from my far left to my right. Dr. Bertrude Albert of the P4H Global, representing the laureate project Training Teachers to Transform Haiti. Next is Ms. Delia Mamon of Grains de Paix Foundation, representing the laureate project Apprendre en Paix, Éduquer sans Violence. And next to me is Dr. Rima Karami Akari of the University of the American University of Beirut, who is representing the project Tamam for school-based educational reform, which is based in Lebanon and also implemented across several Arab countries. So this, with this sort of second introduction or third introduction in the day, let's move on into your actual projects. I'm asking the same question from all three of you, and each of you can manage it as you wish. We start with you, Dr. Albert, and the question is, share again the focus of your project, because some of the people who are here were not with us this morning, and how long has it been running? So the question is the same for all three of you, so we can start with you and we move down the line.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Thank you for your presence today. I'm honored to be in this room with you all. And Dr. Khalifa, I want to give a special, I believe I have the name correct. I want to give you a special thank you for your words. They really touched me. I was fighting back tears over here simply because you really hit on the importance of this day and how it's going to impact our work, our very important work. Thank you so much. To give you all a context of Haiti and to look at what we're doing, which is teacher training, P4H. We train teachers across the entire nation of Haiti, all 10 of Haiti's departments. We do this in order to see a transformation in Haiti, in order to see the country move forward and to develop. The context of Haiti is a really challenging one. And I think, Dr. Khalifa, this is why your words really touched me. In the past year, we've seen our country really hit hard. We've seen our president assassinated. We have seen hurricanes that have taken hundreds of lives. We see an economic crisis that hits Haiti even as we speak, with a gallon of gas over $30 per gallon. We see even students, and this is why today is so special for not only me and P4H, but for Haiti, but students in Haiti, they haven't been able to go to school because of the crisis in the country. The country has been completely blocked. And so as we look at that, and we're celebrating teachers today, we know that education is the future. We know that education provides us an avenue for us to build back stronger, for us to overcome the challenges that we face. And so P4H, we exist for that purpose. We exist to partner with the most important stakeholders within the entire educational system, educators. We look at Haiti and we see 80% of Haitian educators, they haven't been trained or equipped. They're not prepared for this very important work. And so what we do as a nonprofit is we train them, we give them the tools that they need in order to improve their pedagogy. Right now, if you observe classrooms in Haiti, and Dr. Priscilla and I, as the co-founders of P4H, we've observed hundreds of classrooms, and you'll see a teacher-centered classroom, a classroom where teachers are dictating and speaking, but not engaging the students, not making the classroom centered on them and having them have ownership of the classroom. And so we come in with strategies and tools to enable teachers to improve their pedagogy and cultivate critical thinking, curiosity, collaboration, curiosity. There's so many C words that I can't fully capture all of the beautiful C words, but we want to develop citizens today in Haiti that can face the challenges that we will face tomorrow. And that's what we do as a nonprofit, partnering with teachers in order to transform Haiti. Thank you. Thank you so much. We started the nonprofit 12 years ago, but this specific project has been going on for 5 years.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Madam Manon, tell us the same story, but about your project.
Microphone, please.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Okay. Thank you very much. So I represent an NGO called Graines de Paix Foundation, and we've been operating in Benin We signed with the Minister of Education and the Minister of Social Affairs. We signed with two ministers in late 2018 after maybe 14 months of work, non-paid. And we started immediately. We were ready to start immediately. And we trained, we first trained a team that we brought together that were part of our trainers. And so we've been training them since 2019, makes 3.5 years. The super team is so motivated that we have a WhatsApp group and they're on it every day, giving us examples of everything that's going wrong in the country. And this has helped us, of course, develop the project. Our project initially, and it still is, a project that has a certain number of elements that are catered very well for the Benin society. Because we combine education, violence, and peace, Benin is a society where people are incredibly friendly, but violence is just normal, and it's normal against toddlers. We see films of children being hit by teachers or by parents to almost death. It is so shocking, and it is so shocking also to our BINA team. So we are helping teachers and parents, and we do this together, that they have other ways of imposing their authority in a positive way. And by imposing by establishing, it would be a better word, by establishing this positive authority, all of a sudden they have a better control of their child or of their classroom. This is very surprising for this, but it's also very gratifying, because who really wants to be violent? Nobody wants to be violent, especially towards children. It's just they had no other model, and that is quite incredible. So we first help them with establishing postures that are positive, and where they realize that each child has a will to learn, and each child has the ability to learn. It's very similar to what you hear around, because we all have the same story. We are all seeing the same phenomenon, from children that are totally disengaged to children that become very engaged in their work. And how do we do this? We combine postures with pedagogical practices. So we move them from teaching from top down, from the chalkboard down to the student, looking down upon them. They're on a higher level, and they don't allow the children to speak. And speaking used to be punished. And this is not just in Benin, it was also in my time. I was not allowed to speak in school, and at least in French schools. In the US schools, where I was also brought up, speaking was invited. We were learning to speak, and we became very good at speaking. So we have introduced what we call dialogue-based education to get this this quality education really become ingrained. Then dialogue-based education is that you learn the subjects, all subjects, by inviting the children to dialogue with each other in different forms. So it can be a participative, that's the whole class, or collaborative, that will be 3 or 4 children together, or in pairs. And of course, that doesn't deny from studying alone. It's just that we mix all these pedagogies. And so you've heard some of the words: participative, collaborative, democratic. All these are dialogue-based pedagogies. And the trick is the dialogue. And that is where peace comes. Because when you learn to dialogue, you learn to listen. And when you learn to listen, you're learning to respect. And then you start considering the other person as a human being and humanizing them, as opposed to being zombies, which is what schools tend to produce. And through this type of dialogue-based education, they learn then how to collaborate. Another piece, competency that is crucial in today's world. And we help them also express their vote, even at 4 years old. And this can shock many, but it's so easy. Children have a vote. They will not vote with writing of an answer. They will do it with a card or with raising a hand. And they have opinions. Children have opinions. And when they are allowed
to express their opinion, be it in Bina or be it in any developed country, children gain self-confidence. And self-confidence is the step number one to learning. So that is what we do in Bina. And I'll go further later.
Thank you very much. So we move from Benin to the Middle East. And Dr. Akari, if you could please talk about you.
Thank you. And thank you again. It's an honor to be here and on this day, especially. So our project has been going on for 15 years. It started as a grant, a research grant, but it was a unique type of grant. It's a research and development grant at the American University of Beirut. That started with a group of researchers who really wanted to do action research and be close to the practitioners and figure out answers that immediately address their problems. So let me also give you some context that trigger our interest and the questions that we wanted answered. The context is that we are, and when I say we, the Arab region is really a huge region that include a lot of diversity. We have countries that are under extremely harsh circumstances, whether political, economic, social. We have countries that are thriving and building with more resources at their hand. The interesting thing about these countries with all the diversity that they present is that they all are not doing well in their educational system, and that despite all the money and all the attempts and all the goodwill for educational reform, the results are still the same. And we are not able as our children to achieve in international exams standards. We are also still not able to bridge the gap in terms of inequities, severe inequities within societies. So these big questions is what got us moving. And what we really wanted to understand is why is that happening? And the culprit came for us is that we are not doing reform the right way. And why? Because we are marginalizing the key stakeholders in that reform, who are the teachers. So here's the name of Tamam is coming from in Arabic, Tatwir al-Mustanid ila al-Madrasa, which means school-based reform. So it's the acronym of that expression. And that was our answer, that we want to build the capacity for school reform at the school. So we are very ambitious. We think the methodology and strategies we developed change mindsets of teachers, putting them at the center, building their leadership capacity, as well as change organizational cultures, because we really want the schools to become self-renewing, the bedrock of innovations. And these innovations are produced in everyday, as teachers do their everyday work. So our core program that we are working on is to build, we go to schools, we ask them to form a team, and we go from there. We accompany them as they start a new improvement project. And as they do that, we build their capacity on competencies that we found out through trial and error, because we do research as we develop, that they are critical, especially in the context of the Arab world. I can give you one small example of that. We are very much an oral culture. So documentation is a big challenge. Writing down what we are doing, which makes evaluation a big challenge, which makes reflection a big challenge. So all these practices that are very well known all around the world, that they really open the door for creativity and innovation. We don't have that. The ground of them is something that is very cultural. So it needs conscious effort from the teachers to really overcome, learn and acquire the skills that are needed for that. So I'll also stop here and we'll continue.
I must say the timekeeping here is fantastic, and it is not me. We are going to move now into interrogating a little bit more the innovations that your projects represent and how you understand those innovations. But I mean, this time to make it a bit more difficult, I'm going to be asking different questions of each of you. Okay, so the questions are personalized, so to speak. So, Dr. Albert, so how does the community of practice of your teachers work? What kind of support you provide to the teachers? And how do you manage to reach out to so many teachers that are in sort of far away, in difficult to access regions, etc.? Could you talk a little bit about that?
Certainly. Thank you for the question. I love this question. I love talking about our nonprofit. So we are stationed in the north of the country, and we have 40 full-time staff members, 40 full-time passionate young educators who are passionate about seeing change in Haiti. And what we do is we partner together with different major organizations like the Ministry of Education in Haiti is one of our major contracts, the Inter-American Development Bank, Food for the Poor, World Vision, some of these pretty large organizations, and then also some small organizations. They'll contact us and say, we have a network of 100 schools. We want training. We have a network of 30 schools. And so our philosophy is that it doesn't matter how high the mountain is, it doesn't matter how deep the river is, it doesn't matter how far we have to go, we will reach to the ends of Haiti, and that's our border right there. We don't go past Haiti. We will go to the ends of Haiti in order to see change. And so what we do is when we have a new contract, we go out to the schools and we do a diagnosis and we understand where the school begins. After understanding and getting this baseline data, we then train. We train the teachers, the parents, and the school directors. And this training is passionate. It's very vibrant, just like our Haitian culture, and it's done in Haitian Creole. And we look at various types of topics like student-centered strategies, corporal punishment, the negative impacts of corporal punishment. After training, this is where the power of our program is, and it lies within the coaching. And so we use technology first and foremost to do distance coaching. We have a WhatsApp group where every single teacher that has access to a smartphone, even if it's their uncle's smartphone, we put them in WhatsApp groups, and every week we're sending messages to help reinforce what they've learned in our training. And we ask them to send us messages, send us videos of them teaching, and we give them direct feedback. Not only that, but every single teacher, and this is what makes P4H a bit different. We are a Hammond, a Prize award-winning organization as of today. Okay, thank you. Yes, we are. That's going on our website. What makes it different is that we go back inside of every single classroom and we do classroom observation. Every teacher gets a 2-day observation where we're giving direct feedback for their teaching styles and how to improve. And then this continues on. It's a 3-year cycle where we do the same exact thing every year for 3 years. And we continue. The bulk of the training, the bulk of the support and the coaching happens at a distance with the WhatsApp groups, but then also phone calls, because every teacher gets a phone call every month to find out, number one, how are you doing? How's family? How's life? You know, we love you in P4H. Okay, now let's talk business. How's the classroom? How are you progressing with your SMART goal? How are you doing with this? We know you're struggling with beating your children, and you were very honest with us. How is that going? So the coaching happens at a distance. I will end there. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Madam Mamon, we go to you. What would you tell us are the constitutive elements of education for peace, and how you adapt those elements to the different local contexts in which you work?
Okay. So we have, as you already heard, 3 constitutive elements. It's first we teach competencies, then we teach postures, and at the same time we teach pedagogical practices, right? The way you organize the classroom for learning. And we do this with several goals, and we make these goals explicit. So the first goal is that we're aiming for much higher quality education. By that, we mean going beyond learning poverty, so that We don't have children anymore that go through primary school and still cannot read a simple story. That is totally, totally unacceptable, both for the child, first for the child, because he was bored in school for 5 years and got nowhere in life. And it's a disaster for society. So we cannot allow learning poverty anymore. There's a reason why there was learning poverty, because the world concentrated on building schools. We're building the content for the schools, and not that we're developing math or French or English language. We're developing the how. How does one teach math in a way that doesn't paralyze children, that makes them feel happy, that makes them connect their own life with what they're learning in class? And we teach teachers to help their children, their students, make that connection between school life and outside school life by doing what? Asking questions and getting everyone to express what they feel, not only in terms of how it will impact them, but how it touches them emotionally. We teach the emotional competencies extensively, not by rote learning. It doesn't work. You don't learn emotions that way. You learn it by living them. So we do something called experiential training. Experiential training means that you're learning, and as you're learning, you're recognizing the emotions that this brings up, be it joy or fear or anger or stress or shame. And we get the teachers to help children share their emotions. Why do we do that? Because we teach, this is the way children learn empathy. And it's also the way the teacher learns empathy. If you see that you're sad, but the other one is happy, or vice versa, then you start asking yourself, why am I sad and he's happy? And how come, I didn't realize that people were so different. So children are learning diversity in a real way, in a real life way. One must remember that schooling is all very nice, but it has one big disadvantage, and that it takes away from the family. It takes away from the parents. And what we used to have, let's say 200 years ago, to go far enough back, we had family nucleuses that were big, with grandparents, a huge number of brothers and sisters, and uncles and aunts, all were living around, and everybody was living in togetherness, in a collectivity, which was the family unit. And that's the way they learned emotional competencies. Today, this is gone. And teachers are asked to take over this family responsibility, and they don't agree until they see the advantage of doing it, and they do. So that's part of that's only 1/10 of what we do, but I think my 3 minutes are up.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Shall we continue in the same vein, but of course with a different question for you, Dr. Akari? What in your view are the conditions of innovation for a school really to get into change? And would you be able to give us an example from some of the many schools you work with?
I'm not sure I would approach it as what are the conditions, because, the answer, I think all what we have been saying throughout the day presented those. And I would say what we focused on in the project, and it is mostly teachers' autonomy and creating a space for the teachers and allowing them to embrace that part of their role is to come up with new ideas and push for the integration of these ideas within their system. So we use the word sustainability a lot because it's not about just coming up with innovations. It's about being able to do these innovations over time. And this is what will be impactful. And there's no other way to do that without integrating that into the school as a system. So this is why our vision is to come up with, to be able to work with the teachers to transform their practices, their habits, but also the culture within their school and what is celebrated within the school. So the way we go about that is that we focus on the process of the change. And we came up with a program that is centered around a journey. And we say we don't really care about what you come up with at this stage. We really want you to engage in that journey and to experience how it is like for you to be the innovator and to be the lead in introducing school improvement, introducing improvement in your school. We make sure, because we studied about how the process of change happen, is that it's a long process. It takes a lot of energy. So what we do is that we focus that they choose what they really feel passionate and they feel it's like major need in their school. So we let them choose what they want. And this freedom also, in our opinion, create conditions for innovation. You cannot dictate what people should be doing. So we tell them, come up with what you would like to do, and then we coach them as they go. It's very much also job embedded, so that they experience that from a cognitive and affective experience, because we celebrate every step they are taking throughout the process. So they do a design, we coach them how to plan. We tell them that in real life, plans change. So you cannot just become slaves of your own plan. The plan is your tool. So we encourage them to change. So also this is another condition, in my opinion, for innovation, because it allows space for making mistakes and knowing that it's okay. You know, I come up with a great idea should not put a burden on me that I need to be absolutely right and accurate in the impact that this idea would do. I can do it incrementally, I can refine it and go there. The other big part, I think, that also relate to conditions of innovation is that we ask them to identify what are the barriers that will stop them from putting into practice this innovation or innovative idea that they came up with. So we spend a lot of time with them to understand their context and the school from an organizational perspective, history perspective, understand the community they are serving, so that they anticipate how people will receive this new idea. So if I'm telling them, deal differently in your math class or your Arabic class, we better understand how would the parents will react to that, for example. So this understanding that is beyond the classroom of the conditions, so it's more a system understanding, broaden their views and prepare them to anticipate the challenge, to treat resistance for change as a normal. And this also kind of strengthen, create muscles for them and courage to try again to innovate. So I know my time is up, but let me answer real quickly the other examples of innovation. What I think is unique about Tamam is that we really embrace the context from where the teachers are. So if for those teachers, they have been working on rote learning. So for them, we consider that they have innovated if they discovered that there is a website that can give them something. So again, not being intimidated by the idea of innovation is extremely crucial. And yes, we had teachers who really innovated by introducing new IT practices that nobody had used before. But we had teachers in context where they were so poorly prepared that their innovation was very modest. But in their context, it was a great deal and had, in their perception, great impact, not only on the students, but on encouraging them to keep doing it again.
Thank you very, very much. Okay. So now we move into our last round of questions. I mean, at least as in this panel format. And we are going to talk a little bit about sustainability and the scaling up of your projects. So let me arbitrarily change the order so we don't. So let me start again, but this time I want to start with you. what is, in your view, the best approach to expand the reach of your project, and what role do you think the different stakeholders like parents, government, teacher organizations, etc., can play in the upscaling of the project?
So if you look at our website, you would see one of our earliest images is a ripple effect. We believe in starting small and for things to expand gradually. The scaling up idea for us start first from going from a team of teachers within the school to a full school, to the whole school. So, the success story, the communication with the administration of the school, all these plays a role to scale it up first to the school level. Our idea is that once we have more of these schools that consider this process normal and part of their daily affairs, that this will make the school itself a force to a larger system change. So the more self-renewing schools we can bring into our network, the better off we are in terms of making this larger scalability and expansion of the project, and sharing what we have done. So this is first as how we go about it. In our model, we immediately invite. We think first that the key stakeholders are actually the institutions that train teachers, anybody engaged in training teachers. We have also the researchers that want to understand and find answers to big questions that takes a lot of studying. And we have the government, so ministries and all that represent them, and especially in the part of the region where funding is not possible through governments, we have the funding agencies. Some of them are international and some of them are local. So we first decided that these are our key partners, potential partners, and we invite them always to our working sessions, gatherings. We have like this open door policy, and we say, come watch us and come see what we are doing. And throughout the years, there were always examples of advocates that will come out and are located. And we see that really as a scaling up strategy, which is going into these groups and trying to find insiders. So I want somebody inside the Ministry of Education that can advocate for me. I want somebody inside the teacher training, whether it's a consultant or a university, to advocate for me. So at this point, we are trying to increase the number of those advocates and work from them. Of course, now, again, with the prize, doors can open in terms of having more people in decision-making power willing to just take the time to really understand what we are trying to do and see how it can fit in their aspiration, because we believe that we share the same aspirations. It's just the strategies that need to be aligned. So that's basically how we're thinking about it. That the last thing I want to end with is that by its nature, just because we worked in this project in a really vast, diverse region, we've worked with schools that are privately run, schools that are religious, secular. We worked with public schools. We worked with schools serving refugees. We worked with schools serving short-term refugees. So automatically built in, we were forced to really adjust our design and make it responsive to these really diverse contexts. And I think this is crucial for scalability, the understanding that scalability is not about spreading it to a large number of schools or institutions. It is more about being responsive to the diversity that is out there. And because we had that, so we're really extremely hopeful that it will not be too difficult for us to go into additional regions and additional countries within the Arab region, and also join hands with colleagues across that also can, are doing similar work and can join hands with us. So that's another part of our scalability.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to move. I'm not going to let you be in the middle again. Let's move to Dr. Albert. It's the same question. What would the best approach in terms of your project to scale up, and how would you manage the different stakeholders involved in it?
Certainly, thank you for the question. Even before I answer that, I wanted to share with you all that we are confident in Haiti that we are going to be victorious in this intellectual revolution that Haiti is having. We are confident that we are going to see the change that we're fighting for. I'm confident in my lifetime I'm going to see. And in fact, our guarantee to Hamdan, to the wonderful jury, to UNESCO is that this is not an excuse for us to pat ourselves on the back and sit down, but to continue to give our entire lives to seeing a transformation through quality education. We promise you that we will continue to do that. And so with that beautiful question of scaling up, that's what we're focusing on right now. I know that one of the things, a piece of this is technology. We are looking at, we have purchased iPads, for example, where we can put our training, parts of our training on iPads, and we're able to share it with schools in case schools have new teachers that come in, because we have high turnover. So we're trying to figure out, if we train an entire school, half of the teachers leave in the middle of the year, how can we ensure that all of the teachers are still trained? So technology is all around. Not only that, but how about the teachers that don't have WhatsApp? So we are currently in the stage of just brainstorming, trying to find funding, trying to understand further how we can move this forward. Technology is piece number one. Piece number two, our philosophy is we have done a good job if we have worked ourselves out of a job. And what does that mean? That means that we want the school directors to be better classroom observers than our staff. We want the staff inside of the schools to be able to maintain the change, even if after 3 years, P4H is no longer working with them. Do we have qualified people that can continue the work? If not, we can't say that we've been successful, you know? So we are working at finding ways to continue to improve and increase the capacity of the local actors inside of the schools. And we have seen tremendous change and tremendous advancements in that domain. And the last part is a culture shift. I know that this is slightly different than the typical training teachers, mentoring teachers, but we want the work that we're doing as a nonprofit to be something that is seen around the entire nation. And that's why P4H, we started things like Haiti's National Teacher of the Year Award. We started that 3 years ago, where we get very famous Haitian artists to come alongside of us and kind of broadcast the teaching profession. And this is partly because we have a lot of young people, all of us are in our early 30s, late 20s, and we truly believe in social media, using it for the good. We believe in having a cultural shift where we're not valorisé, we are valorizing the teaching profession. And it's not just educators talking about how important educators are, but also the popular singer, the popular artist, the popular people in society. So again, it's this culture shift that we are working for. So again, technology, working ourselves out of a job, and looking at this culture shift, engaging the wider community, because I'll tell you something, the artists that we recruit to come on board, they've been impacted by teachers. They are only where they are today because of educators. The major names in Haiti that were kind of using them for their face and for their clout, they are deeply impacted by Haiti's educational system, and everything is at stake for us all if we don't improve Haiti's educational system. I'd like to end with this short anthem that we have all of our teachers sing during our trainings. There's a lot of singing in our trainings, and I'm sorry in advance, I'm a horrible singer, but for the sake of the room, I'm going to go ahead and sing this for you, and I'll share the words afterwards. It's nous c'est changement, nous c'est force là, nous c'est professeur. Ooh. What did that? I got winded in the last part. And what that means is nous c'est changement, we are the change. Nous c'est force là, we are the strength. Nous c'est professeur, we are teachers. This is the anthem that teachers in all 10 of Haiti's departments, we sing this together in unison, and we believe it because we believe that through our work, we will see a new Haiti. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Madam Manon, last but not least. The question for you is slightly different, given the nature of the work that you do. So what would your organization need in order to be able to replicate these type of projects at the grand scale?
First of all, I would like to say that, whoops. First of all, I would like to say that before we have already replicated, because the program in Benin is the replication. We have 3 programs in Benin. So there are 3 programs that have been replicated from Côte d'Ivoire. And they are themselves influenced by what we do in Switzerland. So the replication is going on, but it's going much slower than the speed at which we're able to sign ministerial contracts. So we have signed 5, even 6 ministerial contracts, but we only have 2 really that are working, and plus the one in Switzerland with 1 canton. So besides replication, I would just like to take a step back and say that before replicating, or as we replicate, we need to give more depth. We have heard the importance of mentoring, of coaching, of doing the whole school approach, which we do in Switzerland, and we're starting to do in Benin, where we're including the parents, but we're not including quite the whole school, whereas in Switzerland we are in this one canton. And the depth is that the money we get is for short-term training. So the teachers are trained 3 days plus a day of coaching. And the funders that we have think that that is the trick to change a country. You've understood that to change postures, to go from being a teacher that speaks his or her lesson to a teacher that walks around to each table and talks with each child, that doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen over 3 nights, except for those that have already made that step. Yes, you do have teachers that do it. But we have some interesting statistics. It's maybe not the answer to your question, but I would like to give some statistics if you allow me. Okay, so I will read it in French. Après la formation,
after training, how many teachers can recognize the different types of violence and their impact on the development of children?
Expected answer was 70%. We were hoping that was our aim, and we reached over 75%. Then, après la formation,
after training, what percentage of teachers recognize a situation that is discriminatory and offer a solution to deal with it?
Because we've given them the solutions how to solve that. And the expected rate that was developed during the theory of change with the ministries was 70%. That was their expectation. And we are at about 95%. Wow. That is really impressive. Not everything is impressive. This is very impressive. Yeah, I like to be fair.
After training,
say it in English, which percentage of teachers adopt a firm yet kind posture in class? And the answer is we expected 70%, and it's between 70 and 75%, so a bit better. And then, which is quite good given that it's already a tall story. And then a tall order, sorry. And then what percentage of teachers that are trained are adopting progressively collaborative and practical and participative practices? And we expected 70, and we're between 60 and 70 depending on the schools, so and the regions. So it's not perfect, but it's some of it is much higher than we expected. I think this is very important for replication, because if you can show such numbers, then you can replicate. In other words, you can go to the bigger funders and they will be more convinced. We are suffering from being middle-sized. So we're just over the small size and we're not yet the big size. And what happens is that donor agencies like the Swiss donor agency, they are giving us maybe 1 million or projects that are 1 to 2 million sized, and there's several funders. And that's not enough to train over a 4-year period with random control trial evidence produced. With UNICEF, I will name them. We get funding, get lots of funding, but they're very short term. They're 6 to 12 months, 8 to 12 months, and we cannot do the evaluation work properly. We cannot do external evaluation work. We always evaluate what we do, but internal evaluation doesn't have the weight no matter how well we do it. So we believe that for replication to really become possible, we need evaluation, and we need at least 1 or 2 random control trials, which cost in themselves $1.5 to $2 million. And yes, it's a lot of money, and yes, it may seem a waste because there's such urgent needs to pay teachers. So I understand that it's really difficult, but that's the way to replicate. People that are on the financial side, they understand numbers. They're not going to understand that we bring self-confidence to the student unless they've suffered from that themselves. So maybe that is the answer.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you all. You've been phenomenal in terms of keeping the time. And your responses have been enormously rich. So now how am I going to summarize this? I thought that in the keynote, there were a couple of interesting remarks. One of them was the notion that where there is great disruption, there are greater possibilities of transformation. And I think that what we have here today are examples of 3 societies that are marred by disruption at every level. There is violence of different manifestations of violence in all 3 sides, so to speak. And it is interesting that all 3 sides are coming across with really interesting proposals in relation to teacher education. I think that there are a couple of important ideas that were also part of the reflection this morning. And I think that in all cases, you are insisting on the issue of teacher autonomy, of the ability of the teacher to trust himself or herself, the school to trust the teacher, and the community to trust the teacher, will bring us to the next element that was also mentioned this morning, which is the notion of the teacher in the community and teaching as a most social sort of community of practice, if you want. I would like to close off with the notion that quality education, of course, is about appropriate content. But as you all have remarked, there is an element of the affective that it is extremely important. So educating emotion, changing culture, being able to moderate the impact that our societies have in our psyche and in our behavior is also part of teacher education. So I think that with these few words, I thank you very, very much for your participation, and thank you to you.
Thank you very much, Liz, and thank you very much to the laureates of the UNESCO-Hamdan Prize and Dr. Khalifa. For closing remarks, I would like to invite my colleague, Dr. Boren Shakrun. He's the director of the Division for Policies and Lifelong Learning Systems, which will be closing the session. Please, Boren.
Thank you, Carlos, and good afternoon to all colleagues. Thanks again for very inspiring introduction and intervention, also foresight work regarding where are you going, where is the scale up. It's always better to meet the people and hear about the experience rather than reading it. And I'm sure that the jury members would agree with me regarding this. So thank you very much. Thanks also to Linda for her intervention, the keynote speech, mentioning how teachers can be a genuine collaborator and actors of innovation, actors of change. Sometimes there is a lot of critics that teachers are conservative, but I think what Linda was showing is that teachers are a force of innovation and change at the school level. Dr. Khalifa, you mentioned, I think, the importance of the recognition, but also the responsibility, and how much we look for the laureate also to take this experience, to share it, to create a community of practices. And I think that's one of the direction that we are giving to the prize, is how we, through all these laureates, through all these experiences, the learning and the knowledge that we are gaining from these experiences, how we can make it accessible, how we can share it, how we can create a community of practice that can grow together in international cooperation and solidarity. And that's a part of the work that we think we should do, and that's what I hope we will be doing as well. But of course, there is the UNESCO-Hamdan Prize website, where there are many of the resources, and of course, to all colleagues who are in the room and who are joining us online, please feel free to access, to leverage, to use those resources. They are open source resources, and they can be used, and they can be shared. Maybe three last thoughts. One is we spent a day celebrating the teachers. Of course, it was important also to have with us teachers and to participate. And one aspect that we feel very important is that valorization. We were speaking in the morning that society has to valorize, but also the international community has to valorize. If the international community doesn't recognize the role of teachers, then probably that will reflect also a gap in what we are doing internationally. The second point is we need this initiative and people who are inspired, who are inspiring, and who would like to change the world in the classroom, in the communities. And those actors, we have to recognize them. And thanks to Hamdan Foundation for valorizing. We need more valorization so that there are people who can engage in this change process and can nurture this change. And the prizes are like incubators. They offer that ecosystem that should support. And the last point that I wanted to mention also is that we as UNESCO, we have been advancing the cause of teachers almost now 60 years. We have adopted together with ILO colleagues the 1966 recommendation. That was a first moment where the international community for the first time thought that we need to look at the status of teachers and say how we can make this profession grow. 6 years is probably not time of retirement, given the change in the labor market today, but sometimes time of maybe rethinking the career and thinking a bit differently. So I think it's time for us also to look at the teaching profession and see how we would like to rethink this teaching profession, giving the challenge that we have seen, giving the challenge we see in our societies, in our economies, in our education system. And the COVID just was a wake-up call for us to really look at this more seriously. And I hope that through our community, through people who joined us today, we can advance this agenda. But the events are not finishing, and I'm sure that Carlos will share more about that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Oren. I think we have one last word from Dr. Khalifa. Please hold on tight. We have a couple of events, one of them tonight, and a couple that we want to announce for tomorrow and the day after. Please, Dr. Khalifa.
Thank you, Carlos. I'm just going to, again, thank the jury for their outstanding job. And my piece of advice to the laureate, use the flag of UNESCO-Hamdan Award to promote your activities and try to help us to encourage more people to join us. And we will celebrate that in the coming 2 years, after 2 years. And finally, my advice to the whole organization whom apply to get the Hamdan UNESCO Award and they were unable to reach the final stages, it's time to reapply again. You are ready. Your file is good. At least the top 10, I think the jury member agreed on that. They were marvelous. I mean, they had taken a good time of their life to pick up the 3 winners out of 50. So it wasn't an easy mission. But again, their file is ready. Reapply again, and hopefully we'll see you in 2025, right? 24? 24 here in UNESCO. Finally, in Hamdan Award, we appreciate your appearance here and spending a time of your life with us here. Once you are leaving, there is a small gift from Hamdan Award waiting for you outside that door. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Khalifa. So as you know, we will continue to speak about and to learn about innovation, about creativity, about the work that teachers have actually done and continue to do. We have a few events in line beginning tonight. As you know, we have the showing in avant-premiere before it goes into the movie theaters of a film that is called Être Prof. I do hear some. So we will have a screening of the film Être Prof, to be a teacher, which speaks very highly of this vocation that we have heard today at 6 o'clock in room 1, and an English version in the cinema at 6:20. Tomorrow, we will continue our conversations to discuss the role of teachers in the transformation of education in a lifelong learning fashion. So you can join us online at 10 o'clock. In the program, in the website, you will find the details. We will be speaking about teachers of early childhood education, professional and vocational training, adult learning and education as well. Coming out of the tests, the Transforming Education Summit, as was discussed this morning, there are several challenges that teachers are addressing right now. One of them is, how do we actually address the digital transformation? How do we make the best of digital technologies? How do we utilize technology to improve practice? And that's something we will explore tomorrow. Tomorrow at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, with an online panel also that will relaunch the Global Teacher Campus of UNESCO. And finally, on Friday, we will be having 2 more online panels. One of them in the morning at 10 o'clock, which will address the greening of education. So what is the role of teachers in this turn towards climate change and addressing environmental degradation, the role of sustainable development, of education for sustainable development in changing behaviors. And we will close the celebrations at HQ, because there are many more taking on worldwide, on Friday as well at 2 o'clock, where we will celebrate the 25th anniversary of the UNESCO recommendation concerning the status of higher education teaching personnel. So that we will focus on higher education in particular. So I wanted just to share with you online and in the room, we have these events coming up, and we look forward to continuing the conversation with you. Thank you very much. Good afternoon.